Welcome to Sports Update with Kate. I am your host, Kate Adams, and we have former LSU safety, SEC champion, and a third-round draft pick for then the San Diego Chargers, now LA Chargers, Brandon Taylor. Brandon, thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, thanks for having me on, Kate.
Of course, of course. As always, we are here at Scoreboards. It is located at 10655 Coursey Boulevard. Come out here for all of the best tailgate food you could ever imagine. They've got great nachos, chicken Alfredo, muffaladas, burgers, and they've literally got a TV in every corner. So this is one of the best places to watch all your sports games. Anything that you want to watch, they've got it here. So make sure you come and join us. All right, Brandon, I want to ask a little bit what you've been up to these days.
Currently, I am a field engineer for Performance Contractors, industrial construction company. I've been on a South mega project in Lake Charles for going on 2.5 years.
Okay, and then you also help preview LSU, every LSU home football game. I don't know if y'all do away as well, but you're previewing LSU on the LSU Sports Radio Network. That's right.
Oh, yeah. We do the LSU Sports Network Radio pregame, postgame every Saturday, home and away games with Marlon Favorite and Hunt Palmer. Actually, I was at work on my regular job, and Michael Barnett called me up and asked me what I want to get on. And I got to meet Chris Blair, the voice of the Tigers. And it's been a great experience.
How is it going from playing football then to being a broadcaster and broadcasting about football?
I don't get to hit anybody, so that's a big takeaway from it. But I love football, so talking about it becomes easy. And when you have a passion for it, it's just a good rollover.
One thing I want to talk about, so there was a huge game last night. Some people might call it the game of the year.
Oh, yeah.
The Chiefs and the Rams. A lot of people might call it a Super Bowl preview too. Both teams came into that game both 9-1. The Rams were able to come out just barely with the win last night. One of the most highest scoring games, I think it was the highest scoring game in Monday Night Football on ESPN. And they've had other higher scoring games, but that was back in like 2004 and I think 1960. Combined total points, 105 points. I mean, that game was absolutely nuts. I needed to go to bed because I wake up super early for my other job. I couldn't even take my eyes off the screen now. I had to stay up and watch it. I mean, what did you take away from that game? What was your favorite thing from it?
It just shows that Andy Reid as a coach, he can change with the time and change with the youth of his quarterback. And that just shows the type of coach he is, being that he's, I think, 61 years old. And the Rams coach, he's 32. So he has players. I know Andrew Whitworth, he's like 37, so he's older than his head coach. And that just shows that those high-powered offenses are crazy. And me playing in San Diego, being in the same division as the Chiefs, I played against Andy Reid before, and his offense is complicated to defend.
I read a tweet somewhere that said, Andy Reid and Sean McVay are proving that the crazy plays that you see in Madden can actually be turned into reality. Do you believe that?
Well, they do have like a type of college offense, and that's what the NFL is going to today with fantasy football and all that type of stuff. People want to see touchdowns and scores, so the defense kind of shies away. Like, I've seen a couple of plays where it could have been big hits, but the defenders have to let up because they don't want to get penalized or fined.
It was a pretty big offensive game. I mean, but it's not like the defense didn't show up. I mean, some people are saying this is going to be the new wave of NFL football, high offensive games like this. Do you agree with that? And if so, why do you think that?
I mean, me being a defensive player, you're already at a disadvantage because the offensive player knows where they're going, exactly how the play is going to turn out. But as a defensive player, you're a step behind, but you have to be ahead mentally. But I think that they need to start letting defenders hit a lot more and do away with a lot of the flags, because since they brought these new rules, you've seen way more injuries now than you have way before, a lot more ACL tears and all that stuff. So they just need to let them play ball.
All right, obviously they have some of the best players in the league that were playing in that game last night. Todd Gurley, but he really didn't show up as much as I thought he was going to. Other players kind of stepped up. But just let's talk about Todd Gurley a little bit. I mean, he's a beast. Would you say that he's the best right now at his position?
Oh, of course. Between him and Kareem Hunt, they're taking the game to a new level because they can also not just run the ball, they can catch and run routes. And they're big backs that can run. Todd Gurley was a state championship in track in high school in the state of Georgia. So that's just crazy to know that there's a back out there, 6'2", 230 plus pounds that can outrun a defensive back.
He is one of the fastest players I've ever seen. Like, he's always almost 3 steps ahead of every other player. It doesn't matter who is covering him, he's 3 steps ahead. I mean, is it just because he ran track? Or, I mean, how do you even get to be that fast? It's just a natural talent? I mean, I don't even know.
It comes with, he's blessed, that and just training hard as a kid, growing up from a kid, and just setting goals for yourself and reaching those goals each and every year. And you got to have the parents to push you in the off season when you're not playing in the summer, have you in certain type of camps, getting you bigger, faster, stronger. And that just shows that the type of raising and the upbringing that he had.
I mean, yeah. I mean, look, the Rams and the Chiefs, they both kind of have young teams. So
Yeah.
I was really impressed seeing Patrick Mahomes and seeing Jared Goff go up against each other. I even think that Jared Goff said in the end at the interview, who's like, it's like Texas Tech and Cal. Like, I mean, he compared it to a college game, but it's because they're both such young players. I mean, I thought it was incredible the way that Patrick Mahomes was able to just contain himself in those really kind of stressful situations and not. It seems like he doesn't let the stress of the game and all the outside noise really get to him. Do you feel that way as well?
Oh yeah, that for him to be a young player and have 5 turnovers in that game and still throw for 6 touchdowns and over 400 yards, that shows the type of maturity that he has as an athlete and the competitiveness that he has, because the guy's still like 22 years old and he has a long career ahead of him, and he's going to break a lot of records in the NFL.
Now, do you feel like because he's so young, that may have been why he had those 2 interceptions, or you just think it was maybe bad calls, or?
I think it was his youth, because he was trying to make a play out of something that wasn't there. And as a quarterback, you got to know when to throw it out of bounds and how to manage the clock. And just know that you live to play another down. And if you throw an interception, you don't live to play another down. The game is going to end. So that's something that he can learn from. And I think Andy Reid will clean that up.
I hated it for the Chiefs that's kind of how the game ended on that pick. But the only reason I think I was more partial to the Chiefs is because I think it's probably going to be better for the Saints in the long run. I mean, do you think it's better for the Saints in the long run? The Saints have already beat the Rams. Now
of course, when you're talking about a home field advantage and stuff like that, and I was wanting the Chiefs to win because that's the division that I used to play in, and I ain't too big on teams moving to LA and stuff like that, so I wasn't really pulling for the Rams, but I was just hoping for a great game, and they didn't disappoint at all.
Now, talking about teams moving to LA, your San Diego Chargers are now the LA Chargers. I just want to know what your opinion is on them moving over to LA.
I just think that it was a bad move. The people in San Diego didn't deserve that. Like, LA I think it was a money move more than anything, but it's hurting them more than anything because the Rams have a bigger fan base than the Chargers do in LA. And the fans from San Diego, like, I still have friends in San Diego, they do not support them at all, support the move. They don't go to games and stuff like that. So I think that it was a bad move, and they just should have tried to build a stadium in San Diego and use the resources that they had. But it's sad. And then I know Phillip Rivers, he has 7 kids. He didn't want to move to LA, so I had to talk to him. And Jacob Hester, he also played with me out there, and he thought it was a bad move also. So, but I'm still a fan.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think I don't agree with that move. I've lived in California, like I was telling you earlier, and San Diego fans, they are passionate. They were passionate about the Chargers. You know, people really are more partial to the Rams in LA, but, you know, LA it's a different place over there. Nobody wants to sit in the traffic to drive from San Diego to go to LA so they can watch the Chargers, you know? I mean, there's nothing we can do about it at this point, unfortunately. I wish we could raise all the money in the world and go build our own stadium in San Diego and bring them back there. But fortunately, we can't do that because they've got some huge plans to build this grand stadium. And I think it's going to have a mall inside of it, the new stadium that they've got the plans for the Rams and the chart. You know, it's crazy. Do you know how that works when 2 teams share a stadium? I mean, you can't have just one team's logo and stuff everywhere. Do they put it up and take it down, or do they have 2 separate sides? Have you experienced?
I think they put it up and take it down, being that I played against the Giants and the Jets in New Jersey, and they share the same stadium. And it's just a big hassle that shouldn't. Get your own stadium for your own city. Like, come on, California, you make enough money out there anyway. I know the cost of living is expensive, but come on, they got enough money to build another stadium in San Diego.
Exactly. Well, you heard it here first. Maybe we'll build our own stadium over there. Who knows? We need to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk some more NFL. We'll kind of dive into the Saints and that crazy Saints-Eagles game that happened this past weekend. We'll talk a little bit of LSU. We've got lots of great things to talk about. Come visit us here at Scoreboards, 10655 Coursey Boulevard. Great tailgate food, a ton of TVs to watch all your sports games. We've got to take a short break, but we will be right back.
Your dad gave me his baby to go pick up your brother from the airport.
Oh, honey, just take Mom's car. She just had navigation installed.
I totally got this. We were just there.
Hey, isn't that...
Yep. I'll program the airport in, just in case.
You don't need a new car to have new technology. Mike's Audio, conveniently located on Airline Highway near the corner of Bluebonnet.
Are you ready for this year's formal events? Weddings, homecoming, Mardi Gras, prom, pageants. Debbie's Bridal is having an inventory blowout sale. Don't be left out. Prices range from 20% off to 80% off. Happening now. Debbie's Bridal, Burnside in Gonzales.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Sports Update with Kate. I am your host, Kate Adams. We have SEC champion, former LSU safety, third-round draft pick for the Chargers, Brandon Taylor. Thanks for being here, Brandon. So we were just talking about that crazy game last night, the Chiefs at Rams. The game actually got moved. It was supposed to be in Mexico City, but the field conditions were too poor in order for them to have the game over there. I actually did want to talk about that for a second. So the NFL is really trying to branch out right now. They're having games in London. They're trying to have games in Mexico City. I mean, it's a little different than it used to be back in the old days. I know, the rest of the world, kind of more of a world sport might be soccer as opposed to American football. But do you think that American football is going to become popular outside of the U.S., so having these games, in London or Mexico City?
Oh, yeah. As far as investment move, as far as views and stuff like that, that's the best thing in the world because those people, they appreciate everything that we have in America. So giving them a piece of our pie, you can't say enough about that. Like, I heard they're trying to have games in China and all that. And I think that the support is amazing, the way they have games overseas and stuff like that. Because I know in New Mexico City, me playing in San Diego, being right next to Mexico, those people love the Chargers and they love football, period.
I mean, it is really cool that they're kind of branching out. Do you think with the NFL branching out, having games in different areas of the world will kind of help in the recruiting process, help players who aren't from America, more players, come here to play ball?
Oh, yes, indeed. I mean, a lot of good players like Dwight Freeney, I played with him. His parents are originally from Jamaica. And a lot of people don't know that. And I didn't know that until I met him in San Diego when he got traded to us from the Colts. And it's just amazing to see like the different type of orientations these guys bring and like their backgrounds. And I think it's a lot of players around the world that could be great football players.
I bet there are, probably especially like in some of those, I don't know. I know like Hawaii is a part of the U.S., but Braden Fehoko and his whole family, like they're just beasts. Like when they get out and they do their Hawaiian haka and they do, I mean, it's crazy. Like, so I want to see some of those like big beast players. Like even there's a player in the NBA, I don't know where he's from, maybe he's from America, but Steven Adams. I mean, he's just like a monster. I know there's some guys out there that we're going to be able to start recruiting now that they're kind of branching out more in the world that are just going to come out and they're going to scare some people. They are. But I want to. All right, let's get into the Saints now. So the Saints, they are on a roll. They are now also 9-1. See, they had a bye week, I think, later on in the season than some of these other teams, but they're also 9-1, and they are led by, to me, I believe he's a GOAT. Drew Brees, the GOAT, and then also Sean Payton, who to me is like one of the scariest coaches in the NFL. Like, I don't even like to ask him questions all the time when we do go to interviews because he puts fear in you. Like he does. He scares me, and if he scares me, then he probably puts fear in his players too. But they've been making some changes on the Saints. They added Dez Bryant. Weren't too successful with that because he got a torn Achilles, but Dez Bryant was a player that was kind of hard to contain, maybe inside of the locker room, on the field. Is known for snapping back at players, coaches. But with the Saints, it seems like it's different because look, they paid homage to him. I think Kamara, Ingram, Michael Thomas, they threw up the X. Not at this past game, but at the game before that. But I mean, he's already, even though Dez Bryant is a very recent addition to the team, he's already making a big impact and a positive impact, which is kind of crazy since he's not really known to be that type of player. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, sometimes players have to get away from certain locker rooms. If the cohesion is not there in the locker room, it's just best that some players part ways. I know Terrell Owens, he was a headache, but some players just don't click in certain locker rooms. And Dez Bryant, he might click in the New Orleans Saints locker room because, I mean, you got Alvin Kamara. Everybody loves him. He just has his own personality, eating airheads on the sideline. Like, who doesn't love that? And for Dez Bryant to come and click with players like that, man, that's scary for a team, or opposing teams.
Look, I agree. And I want to talk about Alvin Kamara and the Airheads. So a couple years ago, I remember we were interviewing him, and he legit, every time we interview them in the locker room afterwards, like, he's busting out the Airheads, just eating them. And I asked him, I said, is this your favorite candy? He was like, oh yeah, like, I mean, he basically lives off of it. It like gives him extra energy, I think maybe on the field or something. I really don't even know. But anyways, recently Airheads decided to give Alvin Kamara his own Airhead. And his favorite Airhead is like a watermelon flavor. So it's like a super intense watermelon flavored Airhead. And it has a picture of Alvin Kamara on there, but it's not for public sale. So like not everybody can go out and just go get an Alvin Kamara Airhead. I think they just send him a bunch of boxes and then he gets to distribute them to fans, to family, to whoever. So of course, this past game, him and Mark Ingram are on the sideline just eating an Airhead, and it was his Alvin Kamara Airhead. Have you ever heard of a player getting like their own candy like that? I mean, I've never heard of such a thing.
I mean, I know Beast Mode got an endorsement by Skittles, but for Alvin Kamara to have his own personal Airhead, and then for anyone to have it, he has to personally give it to you, that makes it even better. Like, no one can go in the store and buy it. Like, if you get one, you personally got one from him, and that makes it that much more special.
No, I agree. I want one of those Airheads, and I'm going to try to get one. I really am. But you mentioned another thing. You said everybody loves Alvin Kamara, and look, the times that I've interviewed him and been around him, he just has this like really great kind of, he has a good vibe to him. He puts out a good energy, and people just enjoy being next to him. They enjoy talking to him. All the players love him. I have not ever met one person that's like, ugh, I don't like him, because there are players like that might have a really big fan base and following, but Alvin Kamara seems like he's got the fans. He's friends with opposing teammates, teammates on his team. I mean, what is it about him that you think really just makes him so approachable and make so many people really be drawn to him?
Oh, he's humble. He knows that it's certain players that know that the next play could be your last play. So you just got to enjoy it while you're playing ball and have fun and live your life to the best and your career to the best. Like, a lot of people don't even know that Alvin Kamara used to be at Alabama with Nick Saban. He was recruited and signed with Alabama. And for him to transfer and have the success that he had at Tennessee, which was a team that wasn't very good, and then being a mid-round pick to the Saints and just exploding like that, he knew that he had to make the best of what he had, and he's doing that right now.
I can't believe that Nick Saban chose not to start him. I mean, obviously Nick Saban had a lot of powerful guys on that team that he could utilize, but the fact that he didn't start Kamara, do you think that he's just like kicking himself in the stomach, or that's just kind of old news for him?
I think he knew what he had. He knew the type of player that he was, and he knew that it was best that he parted ways with him so that he could blossom and become the player that he was, and not be clustered in a big group of running backs at Alabama that you could probably not be able to show the world your potential and the type of player that you are. And that was good for them to part ways, but it worked out in both parties' favors, though.
It definitely did, and I really think Alvin Kamara is just such a perfect fit for New Orleans. It seems like he's really accepted the culture of New Orleans. New Orleans has accepted him. They absolutely love him there. He gets to play with one of his best buddies, which is Mark Ingram, who also played for Alabama. And look, him and Mark Ingram are so close that they refuse basically to do interviews separately. They basically, every time they do their interviews together, and I just think that's really cool. I've never seen really anything like that, and that's pretty uncommon for players to do that. So, I mean, is that just like, hey, you're my buddy and I'm going to stick with you and we're going to always do interviews together? What's your thoughts?
You see it a lot in the NBA and basketball. Like, that just shows you the closeness of this team. And when you have a team with players that's close like that, like, I had teammates that I was close with in San Diego, like, every day we were together. It would, no matter where we went, we eat together, we go out together, go to church together, go to practice together. It's like, that's your brother, like, that's your family. You see that person more than you see your parents. So you get that certain type of bond, and that's good for the Saints to have that right now. It's just because when the Saints let go of Darren Sproles, I was like, oh my God, they'll never find another player like that. And then they went and found a Jewel and Alvin Kamara, and they better hold on to him for the rest of his career. I know that.
I agree. I know definitely a lot of people want Alvin Kamara to stay, but let's talk about the GOAT. I want to talk about, well, he's my GOAT. He might not be everybody else's GOAT, but I want to talk about Drew Brees. Drew Brees is just such an incredible player, but in all aspects. Not only is he just amazing, I think he's like at a 78% completion percentage right now, so he's accurate, but he can see plays and he can get throws to players that like you wouldn't even think would be possible that are insane. I think some of these guys are just coming to the Saints because they just want to have a chance to play with Drew Brees because he's literally one of the best in the league. This is the first season that he might get the regular season MVP, which I can't believe he hasn't already got it before, but he's 39 years old, having one of his best seasons in his whole entire football career. At 39, I think he's got either three or four kids. I mean, and being humble and genuine and just the accurate, great player that he is, do you think guys are just kind of wanting to come to the Saints so they can play with a guy like Drew Brees?
I mean, that lets you know the type of leader that you have in the locker room. And when you have a guy like that, it rubs off on you, and it rubs off on the way you play and all that type of stuff. And Drew Brees, coming from a team in San Diego where he got hurt, which I think that they handled that situation kind of all wrong. And Nick Saban, the coach that passed on him when he was in Miami and the Saints got him, that was a bad move by Nick Saban, I say. It just shows a lot about him and the way he's in the community in New Orleans, and knowing a city that has been through a lot, and he was there when they went through a lot, and then coming back winning the Super Bowl. That's just the type of person that you want to retire from your program and just build around. And the way he's playing now, I can see him playing for like 3 or 4 more years. And I can remember my rookie year coming to play the Saints in the Superdome. That is the most hostile place ever in the NFL, other than Kansas City. Kansas City gets crazy. That's the loudest stadium I've heard other than LSU. Like, Kansas City is wild. But Drew Brees is the hardest quarterback to read because he's short. Like, you can't see him. And right before he throws the ball, he pops up on his tippy toes. And now you see his head peeking over the line. And by that time, it's too late if you're trying to read his eyes as a safety. And it was just crazy. It was a stressful game for me.
I know, I bet. I feel like going up against him would be super stressful. And you're right, he is a short quarterback, and it's like you can see him. It's like he has to look, underneath his helmet. I don't even know how he sees to make the throws that he does, and to be so accurate the way he is. I mean, it's absolutely insane. Only one interception in the season so far, and he's already passed Brett Favre in the touchdown numbers. He's already got all-time passer. I mean, he is on track, and he better get regular season MVP this year, because I can't really think of anyone else that would be in position to really take that MVP away from him. Do you have thoughts of somebody?
I think that the two players that were in the talk with him, Todd Gurley and Patrick Mahomes, they kind of spoiled their opportunity last night. Patrick Mahomes with the 5 turnovers and the loss to a team that Drew Brees blew out. And then Todd Gurley last night, not really getting too many touches, but they won the game, which was odd to be at the end of the game when they was up, like, hand the ball to Todd Gurley. That's like the best running back in the NFL. Like, why are you still passing the ball to give Patrick Mahomes an opportunity to come back and win the game? I didn't understand that, but I think it's clear-cut that Drew Brees will be the NFL MVP.
Well, I know a bunch of Louisianians and Saints fans are hoping that too, and I think that it's well-deserved if he does get it. So let's hope that he kind of continues to stay on a roll the rest of the season. They've still got some pretty big games coming up. We'll dive into a little bit more Saints when we come back, but then we'll talk about our LSU Tigers. We'll preview the Texas A&M game. We'll talk about last week's game against Rice, what we think they've kind of been doing well so far this season, maybe a few things that they can clean up. We'll give some bowl predictions. And we'll talk about some more football, of course. We are here at Scoreboards, 10655 Coursey Boulevard. Come visit us for all the best tailgate food, TVs everywhere, and they have daily specials that you just can't beat. So come visit us. We've got to take a short break, but we will be right back.
Are you ready for this year's formal events? Weddings, homecoming, Mardi Gras, prom, pageants. Debbie's Bridal is having an inventory blowout sale. Don't be left out. Prices range from 20% off to 80% off. Happening now. Debbie's Bridal, Burnside in Gonzales.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Look, your dad gave me his baby to go pick up your brother from the airport.
Oh, honey, just take Mom's car. She just had navigation installed.
I totally got this. We were just there.
Hey, isn't that...
Yep. I'll program the airport in, just in case.
You don't need a new car to have new technology. Mike's Audio, conveniently located on Airline Highway near the corner of Bluebonnet.
Welcome back to Sports Update with Kate. I am your host, Kate Adams. We've got Brandon Taylor, former LSU Tiger, SEC champion, third-round draft pick for the Chargers. Brandon Taylor with us, and we're really happy to have him on. So thank you again, Brandon, for being here.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so we have been talking a lot of NFL, but there's just so much going on in the NFL right now that I feel like we kind of have to spend some time on this. So we were talking about the Saints, talked about some Drew Brees. I want to talk about, all right, they 48-7 win over the Eagles, which They just beat the defending Super Bowl champions. I mean, that was embarrassing for the Eagles. It was. But look, I'm glad, like, Sean Payton just kept on with the play, kept on making big plays, calling the big plays, wanted to score up and rack up as many points as he possibly could against the Eagles. And you saw Malcolm Jenkins get pretty upset about that. I'm pretty sure that he gave Sean Payton the bird. But then afterwards, it looked like they did have a nice conversation. You know, Jenkins formerly played for the Saints, and now he's with the Eagles. Look, Jenkins isn't doing too bad. He's got 2 Super Bowl rings. Now, I mean, giving the finger to your coach, I mean, what is that about?
I mean, he did have a pretty frustrating game, and your emotions are tied into this game. It's something that you're passionate about, and any little thing can trigger off a type of little flaunt or something like that. But you don't flip nobody off on national TV or an adult, a person that you look up to or that's above you as a certain type of coach. But I know that he was frustrated, and I've been like that before, but I never took it to that level. I might say a little something, but that's all it's going to be, and I apologize later. Let them know that I was frustrated. But the Saints, they trashed him.
I mean, they definitely did. It really was embarrassing for the Eagles. I know Doug Peterson, he's a Louisiana guy. He's out there. He's done a great job with the Eagles so far, but the Eagles are struggling. Look, I mean, they had a lot of injured players on their defense, and going up against a powerful offense like the Saints, having Drew Brees, Kamara, Ingram, Michael Thomas, I mean, the list goes on. Even Traquan Smith had his biggest game of the whole entire season so far. I mean, it's just like they keep on continuing getting better, and they can't be stopped. They really can't. I mean, that was insane. What do you think about Traquan Smith? I mean, he hadn't really been showing up that much this year, but he did show up in this game. Do you think we're going to see more of that moving forward?
Oh, yeah, that's what you call a player taking advantage of his opportunity that he has at hand. And that lets you know the type of professional that he is, that off the field, at practice, he's doing that daily. Us as fans, we just don't see that because he hasn't had an opportunity to do it in the game. But when it presented itself, he took advantage of it. And that just lets you know the type of tools and the weapons that the Saints have as an organization, and the play calling by Sean Payton to open up the playbook to get the ball to Traquan Smith, and Drew Brees to even get it to him, knowing that he was going to be open because they wasn't scheming for that. But that's kudos to him, and he made a great opportunity of his.
Kudos to him. Seriously. Okay, but one thing I do want to discuss, so players these days, well, I guess they've been doing it forever, but they swap jerseys at the end of the game. I think Jenkins and Michael Thomas, I believe, I'm not 100% on that actually, but I believe they switch jerseys, they sign it at the end of the game, and then you get to keep that jersey. Honestly, if I was a football player, I would do that because I was talking to someone else about this, and they said, look, if you get to play with someone that you idolized for your whole entire life and you want to swap jerseys with them, you're going to swap jerseys with them. Oh, yeah. I mean, did you ever do that when you were playing, or, I mean, is that just a new trend? What do you think about the whole jersey swap thing?
It's been going on for a long time. Like, it's just not getting noticed because of social media and all that type of stuff, but you got to think Michael Thomas, Malcolm Jenkins, both Ohio State guys, all the LSU guys. If they're on opposing teams, they swap jerseys. I have a house full of jerseys, like my own and former teammates from other teams. It's just something that you do out of respect for your former teammate or a player that played. I know that I always wanted an Andrew Whitworth jersey. I never got an opportunity to play against him, and when I did, he had already swapped with Jacob Hester, and I was like, I'm left out, because I guess I was younger, and they actually played with each other at LSU. And they're both North Louisiana guys, but it was something that I wanted. I think I'll still get it, though.
Yeah, you need to tell, either you need to give Andrew a call or you need to tell Jacob, look, give me that jersey because that was mine. It wasn't meant for you, you know? I mean, no, that's wild. But I think that's really cool to have all those keepsakes. And look, you can remember your career, and then it's from some legendary games that happened. You're like, man, you remember that game? Like, this is when they kicked our butt, or what, you know, or we kicked their butt, you know, what, either way. So I think that's a really cool thing. So let's preview a little bit on the Saints-Falcons Thanksgiving Day in the Superdome. It is going to be wild in the Superdome. You know that all of New Orleans is going to be there. They're probably going to be wasted, just had some really good Thanksgiving turkey, and you know they've been drinking all night, all day, the whole entire time. It is going to be insane inside the Dome. It's always a good matchup. The Falcons are only 4-6 on the season right now, but it is always a good matchup, Saints and Falcons. Do you expect a good one, or do you expect the Saints to just roll over the Falcons?
I expect a good game, being that two Louisiana boys, two former LSU Tigers, Deion Jones and Duke Riley coming back to Louisiana. And we know the history with Deion Jones versus the Saints. He always has a big game, an interception or a touchdown. And that's big for them, and I'm glad that they get to share this opportunity around the holidays, Thanksgiving time, which New Orleans, the city alone, is a big weekend this week. You got the Saints for Thanksgiving, you got the Bayou Classic this weekend, and then you have a Pelicans home game on Monday. So the city of New Orleans is going to be lit this weekend.
New Orleans is going to be lit this weekend. And look, I mean, everybody that's going into town for New Orleans for Thanksgiving, I bet they're going to all those games, because if I had family in New Orleans, then I would be at every single one of those games too. I mean, it's just going to be a really rowdy weekend, but I think we expect a really good game from the Saints and the Falcons. I did want to ask you, what is it like getting to play with, so Deion Jones and Duke Riley, like you mentioned, what is it like getting to play with, because Duke Riley really kind of idolized Deion Jones. It was a player that he always wanted to be like. And so what is it like when you get the opportunity, I don't know if you did or not, but to play with someone who you really look up to and respect?
Well, I actually did. Right after I got drafted in the NFL, the team called me. They told me that they were drafting me. The next phone call I got was from Jacob Hester, a former 18 at LSU, which I wore 18 at LSU. He was in San Diego. He was the next phone call that I got, and he just welcomed me to San Diego with open arms. I got to meet all of his little kids, which Knox is my favorite. That's my boy there. And he welcomed me into his home, got to eat food with his wife. They cooked for me and everything. So it was good, and that was the person that I looked up to coming in, being that they won a national championship before I got to LSU when I was getting recruited there. And it's just a good experience, because you never think that you would get that opportunity to play with a guy like that, and when you do, you just got to take advantage of it and soak it all in and just live in the moment.
Jacob Hester is also one of those guys that's just a good person all around. I mean, he's such a nice guy. He's a great player. And so having you get the opportunity to play with someone like him is amazing. And the fact that y'all are both 18s. Now, I know all the 18s at LSU, y'all kind of have like a little group text chat that y'all do. And
we got swag too.
Yeah, y'all got swag. I mean, do y'all have like, do y'all do like a Friendsgiving for y'all's number 18, or do y'all do like a Christmas party, or have like little events, or what?
That's something to look into. I appreciate that. We might let you host that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we do have our group message. I mean, we have our own type of, Jacob has created his own logo with the Louisiana and the 18 in there, which is for his foundation. And he gives each one of the 18s a free shirt. So we appreciate Jacob for that. And he has his LSU 18 football camp in Shreveport every year. And all the former 18s come back and support him during that camp. So we have a lot that we do together. And I just think that it's just more opportunities out there for us to show the value of that number and the value of having a leader in the LSU locker room.
I mean, the fact that you are number 18, every number 18 that has literally been picked, and I can just tell by talking with you, they're leaders on the team, they're great people, and then they're just beast players. We've got Foster Morrow this year, who's number 18. Foster is a standout guy. I mean, every time we interview, he like always says the right thing. It's like he knows exactly what to say every single time. You can tell that he just cares for his team. He loves his teammates. I don't know. He's a great leader, and he has been a great leader for LSU so far this season. What have you seen from Foster this year?
I just seen that an unselfish player, a person that puts his team in front of him. And you just seen Saturday night, he scored his first touchdown of the season, and you've never heard him complain about anything this season. He just goes out, balls, and does what he's supposed to do, and he leads, not verbally, but physically and visually. Like, you see him on the field going 100%, so that's like, all right, I got to do what he's doing. Let me play the way that he's playing, and that just brings the best out of players.
You know, he is a senior this year. They just had senior night this past weekend when they played Rice. And you played at LSU till your senior year, correct?
Yes.
So, I mean, how how special is it to kind of have that last home game in Tiger Stadium and to have senior night and be able to bring your family in and friends and just have that support and just really be recognized for the years that you put into at LSU?
I mean, it's a lot of memories that I have, and it's two memories that really just stick out to me the most. Is the first time I ran out of the tunnel in Tiger Stadium my freshman year in 2008, and the last time I ran out of Tiger Stadium in 2011. Like, those are two things that stick with me forever, because that was when, like, I had a knot in my throat. Like, I couldn't breathe. It was like, oh my God, all these people out here. And then my last time, it was like, dang, this is it. Like, I'll never get to do this again as a player. And it like, everything that I went through at LSU just replayed in my head while I was running out there on the field. And I left it all up there on the field. So I left LSU with no regrets at all. Like, I lived it to the fullest.
I mean, LSU really does have one of the greatest fan bases, I think, of all time. And you are a legend everywhere you go in Baton Rouge and surrounding areas of Louisiana and even outside of Louisiana. There's so much more to talk about LSU. We're going to talk about some more of that when we come back. We're going to talk about the former LSU head coach, Les Miles, and what he's up to these days. We're going to talk about, really dive in to some of the players in the different positions, and we'll give a preview of Texas A&M. We are here at Scoreboards on Coursey Boulevard, 10655 Coursey Boulevard. Come see us for great tailgate food, TVs everywhere. You can watch all the games here. This is your spot to get your game on, all right? So Scoreboards, come see us, 10655 Coursey Boulevard. We've got to take a short break, but we will be right back.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Look, your dad gave me his baby to go pick up your brother from the airport.
Oh, honey, just take Mom's car. She just had navigation installed.
I totally got this. We were just there.
Hey, isn't that...
Yep. I programmed the airport in, just in case.
You don't need a new car to have new technology. Mike's Audio, conveniently located on Airline Highway near the corner of Bluebonnet.
Are you ready for this year's formal events? Weddings, homecoming, Mardi Gras, prom, pageants. Debbie's Bridal is having an inventory blowout sale. Don't be left out. Prices range from 20% off to 80% off. Happening now. Debbie's Bridal, Burnside in Gonzales.
Welcome back, guys. I'm Kate Adams, Brandon Taylor, SEC champion, former LSU player, and also a I cannot talk right now. San Diego Charger when it was the San Diego Chargers. Now they are the LA Chargers. But Brandon Taylor, thank you so much for joining us. Also wore the number 18 at LSU, which is a huge honor to be able to wear that number. It just means so much to the university. All right, we started talking about LSU. We did talk about Foster Moreau. I want to talk about LSU versus Rice because a lot of people were saying LSU has struggled on offense a little bit this year. Our offense really did show up in the Georgia game. I mean, that game was insane. They were converting fourth downs like nobody's business. But kind of after that game, it seemed like LSU kind of went on a downslope offensively. But here in the Rice game, they did an incredible job. Now, I know Rice isn't, the hardest opponent to necessarily beat. I'm pretty sure that we pay Rice for them to come play us. But last time, when we played Troy to come play us, they gave us a run for our money and they beat us. So that was like $1 million out of money for LSU. But look, LSU Rice, it was a great game. They racked up the points against Rice. Our offense looked like it showed up again. What do you think about the offense? What did you see from them in Rice that can kind of give us some more hope moving toward the very last regular season game and then hopefully a bowl game?
I just seen Joe Burrow confidence building, him spreading the ball out to multiple players. Coach Ensminger opening up the playbook. And on offense, it's all about rhythm and confidence. If you don't have confidence or get some type of momentum or rhythm within the offense with the play calling, like you'll just go in a slump. And after the Georgia game, they kind of went in a slump, but I think they're going to get it picking back up.
Now they've got Joe Burrow that is leading the team at quarterback. Joe Burrow transferred from Ohio State. One of the questions that was asked to Joe Burrow this past week was just basically about his experience at LSU. What is his favorite moment, or just what is his favorite thing basically about being at LSU now that he's here? His response was his teammates. His teammates were welcoming. I mean, he just basically said there's nothing else like these guys that I'm playing here right now in this year, and then the coaches. I mean, what do you have to say about this year's team? Because personally, what I think is, because I've covered LSU for a few years now, and it seems like this year's team, I don't know, there's just something different about them. They've got a closeness about them, and it is like a brotherhood. And they kind of always say that every year, but this year more so than others. Why do you think that is?
So the hospitality. But I think this team was hungry, and they wanted, because you got to think, Coach O coming into this season was on the hot seat. Like, it was make or break year for him. And the players, they loved Coach O. Like, I love Coach O, and I never got to play for him. Like, he just welcomes everybody, and he treats everybody with respect, and he gives everybody an opportunity to be LSU. If you're an LSU fan, he's going to treat you just like he would treat one of his players. And you can't ask for nothing more like that from a coach. And for the players to welcome Joe Burrow in, that lets you know the type of team and mature team that you have. They want to win. They don't care who the quarterback is. If this is the best guy that's going to help us win, bring him in, and we're going to help him mold himself as an LSU player. And that gives him that confidence to go out there and want to compete with these guys every week.
Yeah, Coach O was in the hot seat earlier this season, but now the Tigers are 9-2. They have a chance to be 10-2 for the season. Winning a 10-game season is a huge feat for the LSU Tigers if they're able to do it. They are going up against Texas A&M, this coming up weekend. And look, Texas A&M, they've got Jimbo Fisher now, and Jimbo Fisher used to be at LSU back in the day. Actually, Jimbo Fisher was one of the guys being considered to be the head coach before Coach O got the position. It was funny because yesterday they asked Coach O about that. What did he think about going up against Jimbo, since they were in competition at one point for the job that Coach O now has? And his response was, it was hilarious. I mean, basically he said, life's a competition. I didn't always get the girl first, but I always ended up being the one taking her home or whatever, So, I mean, look, he is the head coach of LSU. I think Coach O is a great one, but Texas going on the road to Texas A&M with Jimbo Fisher as their head coach, he's a great coach, and we all know it. He definitely has. Texas A&M has always been kind of known as more of like a soft team, you could tell them. But look, he's toughened this Texas A&M team up, and you're really kind of seeing some good things from them. What do you expect to see from this year's team at Texas A&M with LSU going up against them on the road?
I think Jimbo is he's gonna have those guys ready to play, just knowing that, because he's literally an SEC coach. He was birthed in the SEC, and he coached under Nick Saban, under Les Miles, and won a national championship at Florida State. So he knows what it takes to win big games. And for him and LSU, this is a big game as far as recruits in the state of Texas and Louisiana, because all of the high school kids in the state of Texas and Louisiana are going to be watching this game. And this is going to determine the decision that they make to sign a letter of intent for what school they want to play for.
This is definitely a really big recruiting game, and we know the South has like some of the best players in all of college football. So this is a huge game for LSU and Texas A&M. We've got to take a short break. We are here at Scoreboards right off Coursey and Airline, 10655 Coursey Boulevard. Come see us to get all your tailgate food and watch every game that you possibly can. We've got to take a short break, but we will be right back.
Bellows Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bellows Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Look, your dad gave me his baby to go pick up your brother from the airport.
Oh, honey, just take Mom's car. She just had navigation installed.
I totally got this. We were just there.
Hey, isn't that...
Yep. I'll program the airport in, just in case.
You don't need a new car to have new technology. Mike's Audio, conveniently located on Airline Highway near the corner of Bluebonnet.
Are you ready for this year's formal events? Weddings, homecoming, Mardi Gras, prom, pageants. Debbie's Bridal is having an inventory blowout sale. Don't be left out. Prices range from 20% off to 80% off. Happening now. Debbie's Bridal, Burnside in Gonzales.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
Brandon Taylor, SEC champion, former San Diego Charger, here with us. All right, we've just got a few more minutes left, but there is one huge topic that we definitely have to talk about. Former LSU coach, your former coach, Les Miles, the hat. The hat is coming back, and I know everybody is really excited about it, including Les Miles himself. Super excited about coming back to coach football, but now at Kansas, I mean, playing in the SEC and now you're going to Kansas. What do you think about that?
I just think that that's just some Coach Miles is a person. He loves football. I don't care if he was coaching high school. He would just jump head first into the opportunity and just put all the passion that he has into it. And I think that he wants to go to a place where he can rebuild it himself and flaunt it out to the world.
Exactly. I mean, look, if anything, he's going to be an entertaining head coach because we all know that he is just full of entertainment. I wonder how the grass tastes in Kansas. Hopefully it tastes as good as Tiger Stadium's grass, but there's no way. I mean, Tiger Stadium definitely has the best grass, right?
I don't know. I don't eat grass. I stick with steak.
Well, Les Miles did try to dabble a little bit into the broadcast world before he got this position, and he did a good job at it. I mean, look, he's just an entertaining guy. He's also going into the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame this year. I think that's really great for him. But he has been so supportive of LSU even after he was fired as the head coach. I mean, what does that say about him as a person to continue supporting the school that he was fired from?
I mean, that just says that the way LSU welcomed him and his family, you got to think his kids was raised up in LSU. All of them went to U High. They were all around the facility every day. I can remember Smacker as a little girl running around Ben and Manning, which he threw his first college touchdown this weekend for University of North Carolina. Kudos to Manny. But Coach Miles, he's a good guy. I love him to death. He'll literally give you the shirt off his back. And that just says a lot about him, and his time at LSU it will be missed, but we've got a new head coach now.
Exactly. He will be missed as a head coach, but I really do think Coach O is filling the shoes pretty pretty well. I mean, at first it was a little rocky. He was in the hot seat, but if they are able to get the win against Texas A&M, it will be huge. Honestly, I think getting the win against Texas A&M is basically what's going to make the difference between LSU going to a really great bowl game and then to LSU going to just a kind of mediocre bowl game. What are your thoughts on that?
I think if LSU is to win this weekend against Texas A&M, they have the potential to go to the Sugar Bowl or either the Peach Bowl, which we're pushing for the Sugar Bowl since it's a BCS game. And it's right there in New Orleans, right up the road. Everybody be able to travel. But I think with Georgia, the Sugar Bowl, knowing that Georgia, they fans do travel well, that'll be the only thing that comes between us and going to the Sugar Bowl. But I still think that we have a good opportunity to play in the Sugar Bowl this year.
I know that a lot of LSU fans are kind of hoping for the Sugar Bowl, and I did hear talk about that. I heard that the city of New Orleans, isn't too keen on maybe having LSU come because they don't feel like they're going to make as much money because people can go stay at friends' houses. Maybe they don't have to go out to eat every time. And if you have an outside team like Georgia or someone else, then they're going to bring the whole caravan of fans with them. They're going to bring all the people that are going to spend all the money in New Orleans. And that New Orleans is trying to, make some money. But look, if LSU is able to go to the Sugar Bowl, how incredible is that? Look, they're bringing up some really tasty food. They've got some chicken Alfredo that they just bought us. This chicken Alfredo is really good, so be ready to chow down on this. Thank you so much for bringing up this wonderful food. I'm just going to show it to the camera a little bit here for a second. But let's talk about, okay, so if LSU can go to the Sugar Bowl, do you know any thoughts on who they might be playing or going up against?
Ooh, that's the thing. It might be, you got a close call between Oklahoma, some people saying Ohio State, but I know if it's the Peach Bowl, most likely thinking about us playing UCF, University of Central Florida, which I would love to play them because the way they've been on the internet and social media talking about their national championship from last year, they want Bama, come on, I would love to play them and humble them a little bit because they talk a lot.
A lot of people are always trying to talk trash, and it really seems that way about LSU nationally. Personally, I feel that way, that everybody is always hating on LSU. I think it's just because they want to be us and they can't be us. So if you can't be with them, I guess hate them, or no, that's not how it goes. Right?
Okay, LSU is one of the most hated schools in college football, and it's been for a long time. I think it's been since that press conference with Les Miles when they was trying to get him to go to Michigan in 2007 with I can't say it, his good football team. And after that, it's been downhill. The media does not like LSU at all.
They don't like us, but it doesn't matter because we're going to continue to show up through and through. And let's hope that LSU does do that against Texas A&M this upcoming weekend. I just want to say thank you to Brandon so much for coming, joining us, talking some football. We had some great conversations today. I want to say thank you to Caleb St. Germain, my producer, to Marty Campbell, and to Alan Traylor. We have got to go, unfortunately, but we will be back next week. Thank you so much for joining us, and be sure to catch us on YouTube at Sports Update with Kate. We will see you next week.